Today we will be discussing habit formation. Now, I'm someone who people say have quite a lot of discipline. I don't eat anything with added sugar. I go to the gym every day. I don't use any social media. I typically don't watch movies or anything like that. I don't listen to music while I work out because I think that these things are harmful to you and not good, okay? And many people say for doing all this stuff, and I'm always working on different things, I'm always on the grind. Many people say that I have a lot of discipline. And that's why I wanted to talk about habit formation today and getting rid of bad habits because I think it's really interesting how it works because I actually don't have any discipline at all. I'm really beholden to whatever my body wants to do in the moment. Like, if I feel like I want to do something, like I'm hungry, I just kind of have to eat, or else I'm like really uncomfortable. I really have no willpower to stop myself. And I have trouble doing things that I don't want to do. It sort of just like eats at me. Like, if I'm in a class and I don't want to be there, I just have to leave, like, after a little bit because I can't force myself to be there. And I know that a lot of other people can. But the reason I think this is interesting is because people still tell me all the time, Alex, you're a really disciplined guy. You're really disciplined. You're disciplined. But when I think about habit formation, getting rid of bad habits, forming good ones, I never actually think at all about the concept of discipline. I think, and what I want to help you with, is the way to quit a bad habit in particular, and there's also ways to create good habits, but to stay on the topic of a bad habit, the way to quit any bad habit is two things. Number one, and this is the really easy one, is you need to have a quick substitute. So when you feel the urge to do said bad habit, so let's say it's like drinking lemonade. You're drinking too much lemonade, you want to stop. It has sugar in it, it's making you overweight, it's making you unhealthy, it's making you diabetic. You want to stop drinking the lemonade. Before you drink the lemonade, a substitute for the habit is to drink some water and tell yourself that you're going to get 1% fatter for each lemonade you drink. Okay? And then if you still want to do it after that, and we'll get to part two in a second, but if you still want to do it afterwards, just do it without any sort of guilt because that's all that you need to do. You need to just have that little break, that little mental break where you are adding purpose into your habit. So bad habits can keep operating when they're automatically triggered in your brain, but just moving it to the front of your brain where your mind has attention and control over it is really important, even if you end up doing the habit. Anyways, so I think that's a really simple and easy one. I think anyone could do that in like 5 minutes. But the second aspect of getting rid of a bad habit and even forming a new habit, but that's a little off to the side, in particular, the bad habit. The second aspect here doesn't actually require any discipline, any sort of willpower, basically at all. The only thing it does require is courage, okay, to face yourself in the mirror and really think about what's truly happening in your brain and how you fully act, maybe not as you would like to think that you act, but that you actually do act. So this requires, first of all, so you have a bad habit, you want to stop drinking the lemonade. So you've determined that it's a bad habit, and rationally, intellectually, you consider it an important goal to get rid of said bad habit and only do good things now. You don't do that thing anymore. If you're thirsty, you drink water. You don't drink lemonade. Okay, so that's an important thing to do. To first of all, the first step is to acknowledge you have a problem, right? That's what you have to do. You have to recognize what you want to do. So that's a really core part about quitting a bad habit. And I think probably the majority of people that have just a bad habit, they never quit, never actually get to that point. That's really like the step zero. If you don't get there, it doesn't really matter what you do at all. Okay, so that's the first part of facing yourself. Okay, the second part of facing yourself is your mind will come up with a lot of justifications to make you keep doing the bad habit. It's very comfortable. Okay, it's very comfortable with a bad habit. And, I'm not a neurologist, but I think the way your brain works is you have like a neuron, and there's many different, it's like a web. There's many different ways to get to this neuron. So if you stop doing the bad habit, you're basically like severing the initial neuron. Okay, like the main pathway, you're you're sort of you're sort of cutting it because you put in like, nope, I disprove this. I don't want to drink the lemonade. I'll drink water when I'm thirsty. Okay, so the main like thirst to lemonade pathway is gone. But there are still alternative pathways in order to reach this neuron that you don't want to be interacting with anymore. So it's very important to recognize that you will come up with rational justifications. So once you have that initial justification, it's so important. But then there's going to be secondary, tertiary. It's going to go on for probably even a few months. But after the first 2 weeks, you're pretty much good with any sort of habit, unless it's like a hard drug. Okay, but afterwards, probably for at least a few months, you'll just occasionally get these little things where your brain is trying to access the bad habit through an indirect path and trick you. So the real thing that you have to do, I don't think it has to do with willpower, I don't think it has to do with discipline, but it does have to do with consciously recognizing and giving voice to that part of you that wants to do the bad habit and talking it out rationally, okay? Because I think that every person, I think like Jung and Freud are correct. Every person has a shadow. So you have, at least for me, other people have different sort of personalities, but you have that part of you that wants to succeed, that wants to do well, that's really motivated and eager and wants to just be the best person. And then you have that other part of you, which is like, hey, do we want to do this? Are we going to fail by doing this? Is this a terrible idea? Because evolution has evolved. If there's some sort of monkey and it's going off and doing something entirely different than the other monkeys, there's a part of your brain that thinks, hey, like, the other monkeys get eaten by a lion doing this, am I doing the right thing? Let's really think it through. So I think this is a good thing. This means that you don't jump off a cliff on a whim, okay, because you have this part of your brain that thinks twice, okay? But it's important because a lot of people feel very tempted when trying to quit a habit to just ignore it. Let me just put it out of my mind. I don't even want to do this habit anymore. Why am I even thinking that? And they just live in denial. Now, the worst thing about trying to quit a habit is to live in denial, because your brain is, with this bad habit, is operating on autopilot. It's just going to this neuron. It's very strong. It's a very strong connection. And the only way to quit a bad habit is to make it actually a conscious decision to do it. Okay, you need to bring it to the front of your brain. So denial, this is where everybody messes up, and denial is the part where I think this is where people use the word discipline and willpower. It has nothing to do with discipline and willpower. Maybe this is a temporary buffer, but if you allow denial, that's like allowing the battering ram to keep battering at your gate. Okay, like, you can have a strong gate, okay, but if you allow the battering ram to keep battering, it's over. So in order to quit a bad habit, it's important to confront the rational justification. So I'll give you a few examples. You want to quit lemonade. Your mind might say, okay, maybe I don't need to drink lemonade when I'm thirsty, but you still feel the need to drink a bit of lemonade, and you feel this thought in your mind. You feel it, oh, like, am I never going to be able to have fun, drink a lemonade with my friends again? You're actually going to feel that feeling, and it's wrong to feel that feeling, and yet you feel it anyway. So how do you confront this? Okay, the way you confront this is by bringing it to the front of your mind and saying, hey, I'm not saying that you can't have fun with your friends. I'm not saying that you can't taste a lemonade again. I'm not saying that you can't have sour. I'm not even saying you can't have sweet. I'm not saying that you can't have water. In fact, you can have all of these things. You can hang out with your friends. You can have a good time. I'm just saying that it's bad for you, brain, to drink this lemonade. It's making you overweight. It's making you diabetic. Okay? And then if you still want to do it after that, if your brain's like, I want to do it anyways, then go ahead and do it anyways. But it's important that you actually confront that thought in your mind. And that's what it's really about. I think you can think about habit formation and destruction as the process of, you have this neuron, it's very strong, it's very linked in, but through rational deductive reasoning, you know it's bad for you. So you need to sever each pathway, and pathways will appear that you don't even realize, okay? But you need to, your brain's going to keep trying, the addiction is going to try and come up with a rational justification. Like your shadow is going to be like, but what about this, but what about that? And you just need to confront it. So I think that, in summary, quitting a habit requires courage, okay? It requires the ability to recognize your feelings, not as you want them to be, but as they are, and to confront them rationally, and also to be objective. Because if your brain knows that no matter what happens, you're going to come up with a rational justification for doing it anyways, your brain has ways around it. You actually have to be objective. You have to be open in your heart to realize, hey, if I want to drink this lemonade, uh, if I weigh the pros, I weigh the cons, and it turns out that there's actually a lot more pros to the lemonade than there are cons, then yeah, I'll just drink a bunch of it because I want to be the best version of myself. So you have to come in objectively so that you can deal, you can bargain with your brain. But you also have to confront your feelings, not land in denial. And see, this is where everybody fails. They think it's hard work, discipline, blah, 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 blah. No, because this just allows this sort of battering ram to eventually wear you down, and you lose all your willpower, and you just revert back into your previous state. This is not the way. The way to basically have neural plasticity, to change the way you are, to change the way you think, is to constantly rationally confront your feelings, to not be judgmental to yourself. You have to love yourself, and to just keep hammering it away. And slowly, that neuron is going to die, in the face of your rational mind crushing its approaches, one by one. And yeah, that's pretty much the way to quit any habit. I hope this helped you. There's a lot of stuff out there which pretends to help you quit habits, but in actual fact, all that willpower stuff really just makes you revert back. I sometimes question the people who push that sort of narrative, but just ignore all that and just focus on bringing that bad habit into the front of your mind, okay? And focusing on it and really addressing why you want to do it in an objective manner. And then, like me, you'll be able to quit like any habit you want to quit. I've quit so many habits. I used to watch a little bit of twitch.tv, like a little bit, not too much, but after a while, I'm like, what am I doing, And I just, the same way I do everything else, I just decided, hey, I'm not going to do this. And sometimes I felt like, oh, why don't I watch someone play video games? And then I thought, hey, that doesn't make any sense. I'll talk to my friends instead, So I hope you can have that experience too.